Do it.
Hey friends, welcome to our happy book birthday party. We have Adam and Kim in the house. Welcome, friends.
Hey.
Hey.
We're excited for Adam and Kim. They just published the Science Box. It is now available on Amazon. We'll be posting this over in the comments section. Dave should be here too, but it's also posted above and below this video. But you get a chance to, hi Sean, you're going to get a chance to ask these authors some questions about the book. We're also going to I'll ask them some questions, have them share a little bit about what they hope the readers gain from it. Before we get started though, Adam Peterson is one of our authors from Teach, Play, Learn. I'm sure you recognize him, but Kim is fairly new to the family and we're excited to have her in the BBC family. So how about you guys tell everyone a little bit about you, what you do, and then we'll dive into the book.
You go first, Kim.
Okay. Well, I'm Kim and I live in Georgia. And I was a classroom kindergarten teacher for 30 years. But now I am a full-time staff developer, presenter, but I have a daughter and a daughter-in-law that are primary grade teachers. So if I'm not with grandkids, then I'm hanging out in their classrooms doing all the things primary with them.
Love it. So you still get all that time with the kiddos.
Yes.
But you're like the wonderful grandma that gets to go in and have some fun and then leave.
That's right. You get to have all the fun, but you don't have to do the yucky paperwork and that kind of stuff.
Grading and yes, that's the life right there.
But it's important, I think, because it helps keep you, if you're not in a classroom of your own, you still need that classroom connection. And so I always say that Jenny and Megan are my guinea pigs, because I can try things out.
And they probably love it because you have all this experience. They're like, come show me how to do this for real.
Right.
For sure. And Adam, go ahead and tell them a little bit about what you do. I know you've been on the show a few times.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride since leaving the classroom. So it's kind of same thing as Kim. I did not put in 30 years. I don't have that on my resume, but I left the classroom on a chance in 2018 to work with teachers full time. And it's turned into, knock on wood, it's going really well. The pandemic kind of put a halt on some of that, right? But that kind of reopened my eyes into going back to doing what I love. So I was on the road working with teachers, which is phenomenal. Absolutely love that. When that kind of got put on hold, I opened my own little early learning center here in town. I share space with this amazing preschool teacher, and I tutor and teach little ones again. So same thing with Kim. There's only so much time that you can spend out of the classroom before you stop feeling a little bit relevant, right? So I see students 5 days a week, 4 or 5 days a week after school. Got some preschoolers that I'll work with, hopefully again during the summer, and work on some pre-kindergarten stuff. And then I volunteer twice a week and I teach music to 3rd through 8th grade special education students. And that by far has been the most rewarding career path. I mean, I'm volunteering, but career and job that I've got to have besides being on the road with my amazing co-author.
Yeah, you guys get to travel and speak quite a bit together, right?
Yeah, I wish we could do more, but
yeah. Before COVID, we were on the road together a lot. But things are starting to pick back up, but it's been a slow crawl.
I know, for all of us, I think. It's starting to get a little more normal. I hate to say that too loud. I just kind of need to knock on some wood. So the cruise is going to happen. But yes, love that. And I love that, like, you've basically been a little mentor for Adam. And I love that.
That's where all this whole book started, was me going to watch her speak. And we talk about it in the introduction of the Science Box. There's a conference here in Illinois called the Illinois ASCD Pre-KK Conference. It's the biggest primary conference around this area, like in the Midwest. And as a first-year teacher, I went to this event and I sat in on some of Kim's sessions. And at that time, I was like the only male guy at this conference. Now it's grown. There's more males in the primary grades, but in 2005 when I started, I was one of a few in the area, and something about us just clicked. Like she called me out on something. I approached her And then year after year, I would go back and I'd sit in her sessions. I know her husband's in the chat, and he's going to probably use the word stalker because he called me that for a long time. But I loved all this content that she would spill out to the attendees, but I more so loved her way of doing it. I mean, she made it so fun to sit through sessions. We all know as teachers, we've been in some PD where we're like, oh, when is this over, right? And with Kim's, it was the opposite. You didn't want to leave. And then I saw her speak about this idea of this way she brings science to life. And I was like, oh my, and by this time we had become friends. And I was like, I'm totally stealing that idea and making it my own. And
let me tell this part.
Do tell that story.
Because I am completely type A. Like, I like everything organized. I like it in its place. I'm also very crafty. So my good friend Kathleen was down visiting from Chicago, and we made these lab coats out of t-shirts with ribbon and buttons and spray adhesive, and just, really spent all this time making these really just precious shirts. We made them name tags, and we went and got all this stuff that scientists use, all this, the PPE, and we made all these snacks. And so I'm telling Adam just happened to call me about something else. So I'm telling him all about it. And he's like, oh man, I'm doing that tomorrow. I'm like, no, I've worked on this for a week getting this ready. He's like, I'm doing it tomorrow. I'll show you. So the next morning he sends me a picture where he has taken a Sharpie and drawn the lines on the t-shirts to make the lab coat. I'm like, awesome. Oh my gosh. But and that's what Adam and I really, wanted to bring out when we were writing this book together, is there's lots of ways to do it. Mm-hmm. Our purpose, Adam's purpose and my purpose, both were the idea of engagement.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, do you, boo, as the saying goes, you don't have to be the same as the person next door to you, but just some way to get your kids excited about the learning. I mean, Katie, when she, in the preface of the book, she said it, when the teacher let her do the leaf collection, that teacher, the leaf collection had nothing to do with addition, but she had found her way into Katie's heart. Right. And that's exactly what this book is about. It was perfect to ask Katie to write, the forward, is it the preface or the forward or whatever, her little bit at the beginning of the book where she gives her story.
Right.
Those are the kids we're after with this book.
It's so true.
That was the whole, when you mentioned the different types and how someone asked me when I wrote Teach, Play, Learn, I'll never forget this. It was a podcast I was on, and someone said, oh my gosh, what kind of research did you put into a play-driven book? And I was like, you know what? I was in the classroom for 13 years playing with students. That was my research. And the same thing with the science book. These are things that we hope teachers have been doing for a long time, and we just put our own twist on it. And they're things that Kim did since day one of her career. And a lot of these ideas are things that I did since day one of my career. And over the course of the past, we've known each other, 15 years? No, more than that. Gosh, almost 20 years now. 18 years. Over the course of 18 years, these ideas come to life.
That's so awesome.
We are kindred spirits. My best ideas come at the spur of the moment. Yeah.
So true. And I love too how you guys talk about my favorite quote of this whole live is, do you, boo? I feel like it's so true, right? It doesn't matter. Dave talks about this in Teach Like a Pirate, where he has the kids creating these little pilot goggles out of pipe cleaners, and they flip their desk over and it becomes the place where the captain, the pilot,
cockpit.
The cockpit. It becomes a cockpit. I think that's right. Dave, if I'm jacking up your story, I'm sorry. But it's all about presentation, right? It doesn't we can go all out, or if we don't have time to go all out, it doesn't matter. It's all about how we present it to the kids and we get them excited, get them engaged to learn the content. Both of you guys taught the content that day. And so you just changed the delivery of how that was. And I love that about this book. I think the thing about Science Box is so practical. First of all, you guys are both out there killing it, doing it, and still practicing it with students. So I'm curious for the readers, what is one or a few things, like just a couple of things that you really hope all readers can take away from this book? And I'll let either of you go, whoever wants to go first.
Go ahead, Adam.
You want me to go?
Sure.
Hi, Reg. I just saw Regan Tunstall popped in. Hi, Regan.
You did.
I remember the first time I hung out with Regan. Kim, you and I were together in San Antonio, and Regan took us out to. Do you remember that? We were there for Teach It. That was the first time I officially met Regan. That was a fun trip. The one, gosh, it's so hard to say one thing, right? But I think this actually, so the first copy of my book, Just Like Teach, Play, Learn, the first one that came in the mail, I signed to my wife, Trisha. The day I got them in the mail yesterday, I drove out to school to meet her. And I was like, I got a gift for you. And she texted me about an hour later, and she has a student teacher right now. So she has a little bit of time. I'm not saying she was just sitting while her kids were, but she has a student teacher. And she said, I haven't even read this yet. I flipped through the pages and I already love the layout. I feel like I can pull things from this in no time at all and put them into action. And really, I think I don't want to go through every single experiment or exploration that's in here. But like I said before, I really hope that a lot of these things are things teachers are either doing or have done. And I guess my big hope with that is they see something in this book that they go, oh my gosh, I want to try that right now, because they're very easy to implement in your classrooms. Or my biggest hope with all of it is that it sparks some or kind of reignites something in them, right? Like a teacher picks this up and says, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about doing that type of exploration with a weather unit. And example, I was out at the school today teaching music, and I took a few copies for my old kindergarten team because they contributed some books to this, or some pictures to this book. So I delivered them each a copy. And my friend Jerry, I was actually her mentor teacher. She said, are there experiments in here for weather, Mr. Peterson? Because we're doing weather right now. And I said, Jerry, there's some amazing experiments. I showed her right there. I was like, look, you can do this tomorrow. And she's like, done, we're doing it. So I guess that was a lot of things, but my big thing is teachers get that reignited spark of, yeah, this is what science should look like. Science shouldn't be a worksheet and a video and a worksheet and a video and a worksheet and a video. It should be this engaging hands-on experience.
Yes, for sure. Kim, what would you add?
Well, I just think that, so often people get caught up in, I know we have standards that we need to teach, but really what Adam and I, two things. We wanted to get children excited about learning scientific concepts, whatever the concept might be, whether you're teaching a life science or whatever. We wanted teachers to have an easy way to get kids excited, but we also wanted kids to know what scientists do, so all of the activities are very formatted around the same structure. So once you get that structure going, what's so exciting is that it doesn't matter what kind of science you're teaching, what standard you're teaching, the format to teach that scientific process, what scientists do. And so then you'll have children who'll start creating their own experiments and their own ideas and wanting to test things that they wonder about, and that's the whole goal, is for kids to know what scientists do,
Right.
And I don't know if Kristen Conti and I have met before, but I feel like we are kindred spirits. Your comments are like speaking Kim and I's alley right here. Totally.
Yeah.
For sure. And one of the things too, Kim, I think, I think once that happens, once this exploration and this wonder leads to this beautiful creation that kids do, because we've given them this structure to do such, you can almost, I found in the classroom, once I would do that and they would kind of take all these paths and learn even more than I ever dreamt of them learning through this project-based kind of learning, I could go back and look at the standards list, and sure enough, I could check them off, right? But I think so much, sometimes we get so hung up on like all these little things have to be taught in such a way.
Yes.
Then I love this because it gives you projects. And I promise if you implement these projects, I bet you can go back and you can look at your standards, and sure enough, you're going to be able to check a lot of them off, especially so many that involve collaboration and they involve, inquiry-based learning and all these things. That's exactly what's happening. Science is literally all around us.
Well, we talk about that
just today. My daughter Megan, who teaches pre-K, she was saying that yesterday, that she says, I don't understand why teachers, and not any specific teachers, just the generic term teachers, don't see how easy it is to teach science. She said, we did an engineering lesson on with the leprechaun trap. She said, and it was like, I didn't have to really do any prep. I just had to provide some materials. So I just went in my closet and pulled out materials. And then I put the rest of the work on them,
right?
And I was just free to walk around and have discussions and have them rethink things and rework things. And, it was just like you become less the focus and the kids take on the active roles.
So true.
But I think that's hey Becky. So Becky Schnesker wrote an awesome shout out for our book too. She's on the back cover. I love it. It's like one of my favorite. I mean, they're all awesome quotes, but she gave such an awesome endorsement for our book. But when you said that, Kim, it's the whole and how Megan did that right away without really thinking about it. That's one thing that I love, and I can't wait to see what readers think when they get the book, because we don't actually put our first experiment in here until I think it's like almost 40 pages in, because we set the stage so much for how all of this, especially at the primary grades, but honestly, I saw Kristen said she's middle grades, any grade level, really. We start them young at getting to understand the scientific method, and that's what is so important. And I know Megan, I know Kim's daughter, I know what an amazing teacher she is. So to think about pre-K kids, that they already have that thought process, right? Of starting with an observation and ending with recording and reporting that data by telling Mrs. Merrill what they did. They followed all the steps of that process without saying, I checked off this on the scientific method, or I checked off this, right? And really that's our goal with this, is just introducing that scientific method so that then kids, like you mentioned with your project-based learning, Tara, kids can just go, right? They just go and do it. Yeah. And they're hitting all of those method steps because it's so ingrained in them that they just get it. And then we tie in reading, we tie in math, we tie in social studies throughout this book too, all based around these explorations that come out of this box.
I love it. And they don't even know they're learning, right? I mean, they don't even it's just a way of learning. They've thought about it in this way because they've been taught since preschool. I mean, that would be ideal. Think about these little scientists going into the world, and we're always solving problems. We're always, having this thing that we have to try to figure out. And if they already have that programmed into their mind of how they think through an experiment, it transfers over to like real jobs when we grow up.
Right. Well, and I feel like, this is one of those things I've learned and Kim has learned over the years about how important it is to capture that authenticity and that engagement with kids. Becky's comment right there, we are natural scientists. Yeah, there's a quote in our book about how every kid is a scientist no matter what you think. And it's a quote by someone else. I don't want to quote the whole thing on here because you can see it in the book, but the whole idea behind, I don't know, can we talk about why the cover looks the way it does?
Of course, I would love to.
So this kind of goes back to the type Z that I am and the type A that Kim is. So when Kim first showed me you'll see pictures in the book of Kim's science box. It was this beautiful Sterilite tub with a printed colorful label on top.
Why do you say that in a way that makes it sound so bad?
No, I'm saying it like it was gorgeous, right? I did this the next day. So I took an Amazon box from home and I stuck some paper to the side of it that said science. I wrote on it with a Sharpie, right? So the whole idea behind the science box, the reason why we named it that is it's this surprise delivery that gets delivered to your classroom door once a week or twice, whatever you decide as a teacher, right? For us, it was once a week. And you get this knock on your door from your secretary that says, hey, this box just got delivered to your classroom. and we're not going to go into the whole story because you got to check out the book. But that's the idea. All these experiments and these explorations come from this fictitious person named Dr. Science that the kids think really is someone sending them stuff. So when we were working with, Dave and you guys and the amazing editing team, Sal and his team, oh my gosh, they are saints. Like, to put up with the two of us.
They're just amazing. They put up with us.
We decided, we're like, yeah, we want this to look like a box. And the idea that they came back with the stamp and the mailing label, and it's just one of those things. I remember when I showed Tara and Kim before we started. Was that before we started? I showed you the two boys that I delivered it to, my twins that I work with, and they saw it right away. They go, it looks like a box. Can we open it? I'm like, yeah, open it up. Look at your picture inside, right? So there's so much purpose to why it was designed this way. But then once you get into the pages, you're going to see how kids right away are going to be so engaged by this, and teachers too.
Of course. I can't wait. I love the cover, actually.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's fun.
And it's so Adam in a dream.
It did.
It's totally Adam.
I woke up in the middle of the night one night and I was like, okay, I got this idea. So I went on Canva and I was like, cardboard box, stamp this. And I remember emailed it to Sal and he's like, okay, let us do some work. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, but this is the direction we want to go.
This is it. This is what we want. I love it. And you have to love your cover. You definitely have to love your. So this box idea reminds me a lot of one of Dave's mystery box hooks too, like where the box comes in and it's like, do not open until, and he like has a time on his clock, like the kids are just like, it's high school. So this, just to prove that this idea of sparking engagement works for any age, he did high school social studies and it's like, do not open until like 10 minutes before the bell's supposed to ring. And the kids are like hanging on his every word, like, it's time to open the box yet. Like, we need to open that box. But it tells them like what to do. And he just put random stuff in there, right? And think it's
even if you think back to like adults, I mean, how many people have done like the food boxes?
Yeah. Or Amazon. Every time a box comes, you're just like,
you want something unique and you want something that has everything in it where you don't have to add anything to it. And that's kind of what this is the box is where you've put everything that you need. So once you open up that box in front of the kids, you're just pulling things out because that's got everything you need. Just like you're going to create that yummy meal, you're going to create this yummy, experiment that you're going to do.
Yes, I'm loving it. Kristen says, like Amazon, what did I order?
I always do that. I order this.
I love it. I think it's so true. So if you haven't already, do click above or below this video. Dave has dropped the link over in the comments. I also have dropped it over here, but you want to grab the science box. It's going to be great experiments for all ages of students, primarily elementary, but you know what? It works for anyone. And the idea behind it, it will very much spark some ideas for you and your learners, no matter what age you are. So I'm excited for you guys. I'm so happy to welcome Kim to the DBC Inc. family. You were in good hands with Adam.
I'm in good hands with her. Don't get that mixed up. Don't get that mixed up at all.
When it comes to introducing writing a book.
Right. It's been such a fun process. I know it's been a long process because writing a book in the first part is no joke at all, right? Like when you do it by yourself, it's so much work, but it's such fun work. And then when you do it with someone that lives 5 states away, like it's so much harder. And we got some time. I know there were a couple times where we were at a conference together that we kind of abandoned everything and sat in the lobby and just type. And then in October, I flew down to her house. We spent like 4 days putting the finishing touches on it before we went to edit. And it's been such an amazing process. And, shout out to you, Dave, and the team, because you guys make it so fun.
Well, we have loved having you too. The editing team has thought you're such a dream to work with. So, yes, we can't wait for all of our educator friends out there to get your hands on the science box. And if they start trying some of this and start trying some in their classroom. They want to tag you guys. They want to share some pictures on social
Yes.
media. Where can they find y'all?
Go ahead, Kim.
So like, where are we, like on Instagram? Is that what you're
Yeah.
asking me? Yeah. So I'm on Instagram and Facebook under Kindergals.
Kindergals.
Yes. So you can find us find me on Facebook or on Instagram with Kindergals. Because I started it as Kindergals because Megan and Jenny, my daughter-in-law, my daughter, we're all like in pre-K, K. So we're the gals behind the.
I love it.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of extra input in there. That's even better to get the.
She's the boss.
She's the boss.
You got that right.
I know. Yeah, I want to give another. I saw Becky commented at the bottom too. I gotta say, I know Becky's listening, but for someone like Becky, who is an amazing science educator, wrote an awesome expedition science book with you guys, to have her do a shout out for us was huge. I mean, we wanted obviously teachers and everyone out there, but to have someone with science. I mean, I got to read her. So on the back of the book, it says, basically, if you are involved in education, specifically science education, you want this book. And to hear that from a science teacher like that was so meaningful to us. So I know there's many other people listening tonight that may have done an endorsement for us too, but I saw her comment and that just, I don't know, it hit home with me because of, I know what she does. I love her profile picture too with that little crab.
She is awesome. And that is so true. Like once you hear from somebody in the field too, and
Yes.
they're always like, okay, you need this. And elementary too. She's geared toward elementary too.
Right.
So to get that endorsement, Becky is our science girl for sure. We're excited though to add more science to the mix because you know what? Everybody brings just some different views of how to look at it. I think this book is so different from Expedition Science. So
right.
If you already have Expedition Science, the science box is going to bring you even more fun engagement and that you can bring in with your students and just take it from a whole different perspective. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, for sure. Adam, where can they find you?
Yeah, on Instagram and Facebook, it's Adam Peterson Education. And then on Twitter, I'm not super active, but I know from talking to Tara, I need to be more active on Twitter. It's Teachers Learn 2. It's the number 2. I got to figure out how to change that to Adam Peterson Education. I don't know if you can
show you how.
Okay. I don't want to like lose the few hundred followers I have.
We got you. We got you. So for Facebook and Instagram on Kim, it's Kindergals. And then for Adam and on Instagram and Facebook, Adam Peterson Education. And on Twitter, Teachers Learn 2. So be sure and check them out. If you are sharing any of this information, also be sure and tag us at DBC_Inc. We love following all of the cool stuff you guys are doing out in the field. And for Kim and Adam, happy book birthday. We are so excited for you. We're excited for readers to get a hold of the book. And yeah, any last words you guys want to share before we close out of here?
I just want to thank you and Dave, but more importantly, thank Kim for letting me be a part of this with her, because a lot of this was lessons I learned from her over the years attending sessions and then put my own twist on them. But honestly, to do it together was a blast.
It was.
I don't know if she feels the same way, but I had a lot of fun with this.
Yes, I do. I just love being able to work with that. I mean, we're just a great team because we're just so opposite, but yet we share the passion. So we each bring something very different to the table, but yet have the same driving force. And I'm thankful to all of you. Yes. Or as we say in the South, I'm thankful to all y'all.
All y'all. Well, we are thankful.
Thank you in advance to anyone that's listening and gets a copy. Thank you for supporting us, because we love to share the ideas, and when it's in more teachers' hands, that just makes us happier. So
for sure. And if you guys are ever interested in a book study or anything like that, just connect with Adam. They're great for joining in on Zoom, letting you ask some questions, stuff like that. So I'm sure Kim would be willing to do that as well. But yes,
I'll help you, Kim. I'll help you.
He's got her. Well, thank you, everyone. Happy book birthday. And we'll see you next week. Same place, same time.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Bye.